Hey guys, Magic here. Today, I just kind of want to talk to you about relationships, and not just romantic relationships, but your friendships too, or even relationships within your family. You see, we all have lots of relationships, and some of them are healthy, and some of them are unhealthy. The unhealthy ones can be borderline toxic for us sometimes, but we tolerate them because they're family or because, well, we've just been friends for however long, or we just put up with it already for this long, so why stop now? Or sometimes, in the case of an abusive relationship or like a romantic one, sometimes we're just scared. So that can also be true for an abusive friendship or an abusive family relationship because sometimes that fear is real. I mean, I know that it seems silly to people on the outside that you're afraid to get away from this person, but they do make the fear seem legitimate, and that's okay. It's okay to be afraid. Sometimes we have to do things that we're scared of, though, because we all deserve to have healthy relationships in which we can be honest, not only with ourselves, but with the other person. If we have to lie to or walk on eggshells around someone, then that's probably not a healthy relationship. That's probably a pretty toxic one because we shouldn't have to hide the truth from someone out of fear of how they would react, because honesty is always the best policy and people should respect the truth. And yeah, sometimes the truth does hurt, but we can grow from it. And refusing to accept the truth, refusing to allow people to be honest, that's just not a healthy thing to do. We all need to be able to take a step back and observe ourselves and others in an accurate, unbiased way. Because a lot of time we have one of two ways of looking at ourselves. Either we go into this I'm better than everybody type of super like I'm awesome type mentality, or and so therefore I can do no wrong, or it's okay because I was justified in the moment, or we go into oh man, I'm such a shitty person, I should never have done that. Why am I so stupid? I say that a lot. Why am I stupid? Or like I'll be like I'm stupid, or I'm dumb, or I'll say stupid things like that, and that's awful. We shouldn't do that to ourselves. When we say stuff like that, our brain, like my little 7-year-old Cypher says, don't say that, Mom. Your brain will believe you. Because your brain believes whatever you tell it. Whatever thoughts you think, you will believe. You need to take control of those thoughts and change them to be positive. Now that doesn't mean just go into this, oh, I'm amazing, so therefore everything's great, because that's opposite, way too far in the opposite direction. That's unhealthy, toxic as well. You need to find an easy middle ground to where you're having to where you have a realistic view of yourself, but you still like yourself and still feel good about yourself, and that's a hard balance to find. I just have to remind myself whenever I catch myself saying things like I'm stupid, like, no, I'm not stupid. I made a mistake. I messed up. That is okay. I'm human. We can do better next time. Even if it was a dumb choice, doesn't make me dumb. I have to remind myself of that. Take a few deep breaths and say my affirmations, or remind myself that I have to give myself grace. Sometimes when we're in these unhealthy relationships, though, it can be hard to do that. It can be hard to even know what we're thinking or what we're feeling because we're so caught up in how they're feeling and trying to make sure that they don't get upset, or that they're feeling a certain way, or that they think this way about us so that way they don't get upset with us. But we need to be more aware of what we're actually thinking and what we're actually feeling and what our perceptions are, and whether or not those perceptions that we have are accurate, and make sure that we're not causing that kind of strain for somebody else. We don't want other people to lie to us or not be true to themselves because they're scared that it'll upset us. That's an awful way to be. So we really need to keep track of our own perceptions and figure it out ourselves. This world needs more people who will be impeccably honest, both about everyday things, emotionally, mentally, every aspect of their life. We all need to go on a soul searching journey to find ourselves, to know ourselves, so we don't project our issues onto other people, because that's what causes a lot of issues whenever we project what's happening inside of us onto other people, and we become really judgy, or we start to imagined problems that don't exist, so to speak. Now, I'm still on a soul searching journey. I'm still trying to figure out who I am because I've been in a lot of these toxic, bad relationships, and I've lost myself somewhere along the way. At some point, I just outright gave up on myself. So now I'm trying to get back to where I believe in myself, to where I like myself, to where I can be who I was meant to be, who I feel like I am at my core, and my true, authentic nature. Now, that's really hard, obviously, but it's worth the work. You are worth the work. And, and I hope that I can help you along your journey. I mean, I am just a single mom, and I'm doing the best I can. But if I can help you just with anything that I say, I'm going to try my best because I am getting better myself. I'm working on myself getting better, but I want to help as many people as possible to also come along on this journey with me, to better themselves, to get better. And by telling you what I'm learning as I am growing and evolving into my more authentic self. In order to be a healthy person, we need to be able to be dependable and responsible. We need to be able to keep our word. And keeping your word doesn't start with other people. It starts with yourself. You need to keep promises to yourself. I always say that I'm a really honest person. I try to avoid lying and that I always keep my promises. Well, that is true with everyone but myself. I think like the biggest lie that I tell is that I'm fine when I'm having a bad day. But everybody does that, I think. But even that's not true. But I should work on that and not do that. But sometimes we have to, like when we're at work. So you gotta, but being dependable and responsible and keeping your promises to yourself is important, because if you can't trust yourself, who can you trust? The one person on the planet you should be able to trust is yourself. But if you're constantly breaking your own promises to yourself, what foundation do you have? You have like no foundation. So I'm working on keeping my promises to myself. I've been telling myself I'm going to do this every day. Right now, my goal is to, take better care of myself because my depression. And so far, I've managed to keep that goal going for about 2 weeks, and I'm proud of that. But, it's really hard to learn to keep promises to yourself when you're so used to giving up on yourself. So don't give up on yourself. Do the hard things. Because, doing the things that, seem hard and that you don't want to do, even though you told yourself you'd do them, seems hard. But you're already living in hard, so you should probably just do it anyway. Because if you can't show up for yourself, then you can't show up for anyone else. Not truly. You need to be able to show up for your life, show up for other people, show up for yourself. Prove to yourself that you can be dependable. We need to also not think too highly of ourselves and get into that arrogant space of, I'm just better than everybody. We should be humble, always. But not to the point of being a doormat, which is where I struggle. We all are walking through life thinking that, we're not doing, that nothing we do matters, but we are all affecting the people around us and the environments around us with every choice that we make, with every action that we do. We need to take responsibility for that and the consequences of those actions and behaviors in the world around us. We all make mistakes, and we can learn from them, and we can clean them up and figure out what to do next. I am learning to ask for help. I'm learning to, I have trouble asking people to do things because I've always been in the mindset that if I want it done, I should do it. And that, asking for help is a sign of weakness or like incompetence. So I'm trying to fix that and learn that it's okay to ask for help, because sometimes it's the only way that we learn. And we all need to be teachable. It's hard to be teachable when you won't ask for help. A practice that has helped me a lot in getting to a healthier place mentally is that is working on a gratitude journal every day. Every day I write down 5 things that I'm grateful for in the morning, and I have a candle that I light that says thank you on it, and I let it burn all day. And I blow it out at the end of the night to remind me to be thankful every time I see it, to be grateful. The world needs more empathy and gratitude and understanding, and I'm hope to bring that to this world. I hope that you will too. But in order to do that, we need to be transparent with ourselves and with others, and be honest about where we're at and what we're thinking and feeling and doing, and be willing to be open and share what we feel, think, and our fears. That's really hard. But I know we can do hard things, and we can do them together. It's a lot easier to stay in our inauthenticity and just keep going with the status quo. But we'll never really be happy that way, and we'll get to the end of our lives full of regrets, and no one wants that. You want to live your life so you have no regrets, and it's something you can be proud of. So the things that I decided I won't compromise are my honesty. I need honesty in my relationships, and I need my vulnerabilities to be allowed and to be respected. I need to feel like I'm valued and respected. Fears and insecurities are okay, but they cannot stop me. There will be no violence in my relationships. People in my relationships, including myself, need to take responsibility for themselves and not blame. That includes me. I shouldn't blame other people. I should take responsibility for the actions that I choose to make. No entitlement, no victimhood. Now, sometimes it is really hard for me to not fall into the whole victimhood thing because I do have PTSD, and sometimes that triggers that mindset. So I have to pull myself out of it and remind myself that I'm okay now, and that we don't need to be in that. Entitlement's a lot easier for me to avoid because I just not something that comes natural to me. But the PTSD does trigger a victim mindset, and I'm trying to make sure that I correct that and stop that in its tracks, because that's not a place that I want to live in. It's not a place that anyone should live in, either way, entitlement or victimhood. In my relationships, I want people to be aware, and I want them to be genuine and authentic to themselves. I want people to be able to manage their own guilt and shame, and to try to help people to avoid shame and understand that, just because you made a bad choice doesn't mean you're bad. It just means that the choice wasn't that great. I want relationships that are validating, and where there are no secrets, no hiding, and no lies. But I know that this is a progress. This is a process, and that, every healthy relationship is always a process. It's not something that just automatically happens. It's not something that just comes easily every day. It's a process. It's something that you have to work at. And it's something where, and sometimes you have to ask questions. Sometimes you need clarification. You need to be able to give validation and empathy instead of causing the other person to feel shame. And sometimes it's a lot easier to say hurtful things than it is to feel empathy towards someone who's maybe doing something that you disagree with, or who hurts you, or to validate them in the fact that it's something that you don't fully understand. But it's important that you, instead of going into a place of guilt or blaming or shame, that you give them that validation that they need, so they know that they are heard, and have empathy for them to the best of your ability. Because that's what we all need. We all need validation and empathy so we can feel seen and heard. And once we feel seen and heard, those wounds start to heal, and we can return it to the other person. We can start to love ourselves and love the other person, and give them validation and empathy. Healthy relationships need to be physically, emotionally, and spiritually safe. And sometimes that's really hard. Especially, I know that my relationship romantically is safe, but I have such a fear around my spirituality aspect. just on a personal level, because I don't think that anyone will understand or agree with it, that I just don't talk about it, and I get really skittish if people like are around when I'm trying to do my ritual or something. So I just won't do it at all. And that's something I need to work on, because it's not something other people are doing. Like, it's just something inside of me because of something that was imposed upon me and my family when I was young. Healthy relationships, you shouldn't have to hide. There shouldn't be any manipulation. You should be free to be yourself, free to be authentic, which is why I'm so happy right now in my current relationship, because I am free to ask questions. I'm free to question things, and I'm given validation and empathy, and I am safe, and there is no manipulation. I don't have to hide or walk on eggshells. And I'm free to truly just be myself. I can wear my fairy ears or my devil horns or my cat ears and my tail, my little mittens, and all my quirky little outfits, and I can say crazy off the wall things, and I can do silly things and pretend to be an airplane randomly and dance outside in the sun, and like there's no judgment. I'm allowed to develop my own interests and figure out what I like to do. Like, I'm allowed to invest in my hobbies and have time to myself. My boundaries are respected. And respecting boundaries is a two-way street. I want my partner to be able to develop their interests too and to feel the same way. And I want to be able to respect their boundaries. And it's like I said, everything is a process. We're both still, figuring out where those boundaries are and learning, but getting there is a process. And as long as we're working on it, things will be okay. Also, I want to limit on the drama, because drama is so overrated. Like, we're not in high school anymore, so stop. In order to have this, though, I know that I first need to be able to create it within myself, because if I can't be that person for myself, then I can't be that person for other people. So in order for me to have this healthy relationship that I want, I need to cultivate that inside myself. And it's something that I'm working on every day. That is also a process, having a healthy relationship with yourself. I found that I often chose unsafe relationships because they were familiar. They were what I was used to, and so I stayed because it was familiar, and nicer things just always scared me. And this relationship, it's great, and it does scare me because it's not something I'm used to, and I feel like somehow it's wrong because it's not what I'm used to. But I'm never going to get used to anything else if I don't give myself a chance to learn and adjust. And so I'm trying to learn and adjust, and I'm happy. But I'm also trying to learn about myself, learn what I like and what I don't like, what I value. And sometimes that's just hard. I'm also trying to figure out what it is that I believe in and my spiritual path, my morals, what respect means to me, what I want, what my expectations are, if I have any motives, what exactly drives me. Things that I feel justified in. Are they things that I should feel justified in? What my values are. Things that I would be willing to do versus things that I wouldn't be willing to do. Things that cause me shame and conflict inside myself. Like, what are those things? Do I do anything that does that and I'm unaware of? Figuring out where my boundaries are and what the boundaries of my partner are. It's a process. I'm trying to learn all these things so I can learn to be the best version of myself, and the best partner I can be, and the best friend I can be, and the best mom I can be. But it's a process. Everything's a learning process. But I know we can get there. It's just going to take a little time. That's all. And I hope that I'm able to have that time. And even if I'm not given that time in my relationships and people leave, I have all the time in the world to work on my relationship with myself and get to that healthy place so I can be there for other people. And once I'm at that healthy place within myself, I'll be able to do that a lot easier for other people. And I know that'll be worth it. I mean, right now, I don't suck. At least not from what I've been told anyway. But I want to get better. And that's a step-by-step process. And as I get better, I'll create better friendships, better relationship, and I'll just be evolving forever into my best version of myself. And I hope that you will too. Thanks for listening, guys. Go out and spread the love, because remember, love always wins.